transition, and we should be live in just a couple of seconds. So, welcome to the State of Wrestling Games podcast. Um, Today, joined for the first time on this channel by Chris from TKWA. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, man? Thanks for having me on. Let's talk about some wrestling games.
All right, everything seems to be working fine. That's always a question when you do a live podcast if everything's all right. Seems to be so. All right. Not gonna waste any time, so we're just gonna jump straight into it. We have wrestling games to talk about. I'm having six on the schedule, so let's just start off with the most obvious one: WWE 2K22. You've played it. What are your overall thoughts on the game?
2K22. I mean, it certainly has its bugs. It's definitely a step up from 2K20. I think it's a nice foundation that they laid between the game modes and everything to build on for 2K23, 2K24, and such. Um, it's pretty good. Although I've had a few issues where it crashes sometimes, and universe mode can be a little wonky. Uh, I like to. I'm a creator of wrestling e-feds, as you know. So some of the created logos and stuff can be an issue. Like you only got about 50 slots to upload certain logos and stuff. And I find the more and more logos I upload, certain stuff starts deleting off my arenas and characters. So it's a weird balance trying to balance all that. Listen, I don't know. I would give it, if I was to give it out of 10, I'd give it a 7, maybe an 8. I did enjoy showcase mode with Rey Mysterio. I thought they could have probably elaborated a little bit more on that showcase mode
I would agree.
and made it more streamer friendly. That's one thing with these WWE games, man. If you stream them, prepared to fight copyright infringement um, strikes against your account, depending on the platform.
Pretty
What did you
much.
think of it?
Well, I've definitely been enjoying 2K22. It's one of the wrestling games that I've been putting more hours in than the average wrestling game over the last decade. So that's a positive. And yeah, like you mentioned, there was a lot they could have done with Showcase. Just to name a couple of things, we've had that one tag match with Dominic Mysterio against Rollins and Murphy. A reasonable match, but there's so much more you could get into with the story of Dominic. Starting off with the custody of Dominic ladder match against Eddie Guerrero.
Absolutely. Classic.
That definitely should have been in my opinion, and I don't understand why we don't have the match against Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, because that is a big moment. Them winning the tag belts together. That should have been in my opinion. They could have done more with Batista and Edge and Orton. And I guess where there are plenty of matches that they don't have, like they're not having Big Show for obvious reasons. They're not having Chavo for obvious reasons. There are plenty of guys on that roster that they could have done something with for the race showcase. And instead, we got a random match against Red Metalik, I think it was, on Raw. Like,
Yeah,
I,
that was kind of out of left field. Yeah.
I thought, all right, cool. They're shouting out Grandma to Leak, as I'm about to shout out Killany Brown. Hi, thank you for tuning in. Um, but yeah, that was just a really random match for the showcase. I thought, what purpose does this really serve other than just being a fun luchador match?
Yeah.
They've, yeah, they could have done different things with that.
I mean, I'm 1000% in agreement. They should have had that I'm your poppy angle in
Oh yeah,
Showcase. I mean, that was such a huge and cool moment for Rey Mysterio. And then, leading up to Dominic further down showcase. That, I mean, that
Yeah.
just would have tied in perfectly.
When they announced it was going to be the Rey Mysterio showcase, my prediction was, all right, they're going to start off the showcase with the custody of Dominic ladder match, and they're going to end it with them becoming SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and then
Right.
a bunch of Rey Mysterio feuds in the middle. But they didn't. Neither of those matches are in, so I was completely off on that. Um,
Was there anybody else you would have preferred to see in showcase, or do you feel Ray was a good choice and got his due? I kind of thought um when they announced Ray and he was on the cover, I was like, cool, he deserves
Same.
that due.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just wish they actually did more with the race showcase, and
Yeah.
they definitely could have done more. I was really excited about it, and when I was done with it, I thought, I guess it was just there. Wasn't too much about it, really. Um,
I know we're talking about the various modes off stream. Um, yeah, surprisingly, I'm having a lot of fun with the My Faction mode. I mean, obviously, you could do the pay to play option and just endlessly buy cards until you got a stacked stable. But I enjoy the process of earning cards. I've been really actually having fun with it, and you do play online against other factions. I would say 80% of the time. Sometimes you get some bot matches, but what do you think of My Faction?
yeah, I think the fact that you get factions that other people have made is pretty cool. Um, yeah, it's reasonably fun to play through, and I honestly didn't expect that. I saw my faction mode and I thought, okay, uh, guess we'll see what it's going to be about. Then I saw it was basically like doing towers and matches against other people's factions, and I thought,
Yeah.
this is not going to be my mode. I'm probably not going to enjoy this. Then I realized you actually don't play any people, just the factions that they've made, and it's yeah, it's actually
So let me
reasonable to go through. And it's like,
let
yeah,
me let
let's
me
give it a go.
let me ask you something, because maybe
Yeah,
I got this wrong. I thought I was playing online against actual people, but you're just playing bots of created stables. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah,
Hmm. Interesting.
I either that or I'm very good at online multiplayer and I should do it more. But I realistically probably not.
Yeah. Some matches when I had my faction, yeah, I definitely felt like I was playing bots. But some matches, man, were insanely hard, and I felt like, wow, I feel like I'm playing someone online. So I didn't actually know how that worked in my faction. But
Well, yeah,
what
it
what do you think?
can be a little
Go
bit
ahead.
tricky because you do have the different tiers of cards, of course, and when you have like a gold card, gold is not very high, and if you have one of your gold stars, and on the enemy team there's a sapphire,
Yeah,
and you
right.
match those against each other. That sapphire is gonna whoop your ass. That's the way it's
That's
gonna
probably
go.
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it can actually
Um.
be pretty difficult because of
Right.
that.
So I was going through my rise. Granted, I did not finish the whole mode. I think I just started appearing on Raw after working my way through the Indies, then NXT. Did you go through my rise? What'd you think of it? I had fun with it. I thought it was good. I liked the multiple angles you could play, going to the different locations, and
Yeah,
if you want to unlock everything in that story mode, it can actually start to kind of be a pain in the ass to figure out how to do that, but I
yeah.
like that. So,
There's a lot you can do on my rise. The one criticism I would have about my rise is that there's no consistency in it. Like you can just be wrestling on Raws and SmackDowns for like 3 years straight and not be on any pay-per-views or anything, and then suddenly you're on WrestleMania, and then a month after you're at the Royal Rumble because that's the
yeah.
storylines you pick. Um, Wish they kind of went like with like a SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 type of thing, where you do have these multiple storylines based on if you're in a championship. Yeah, if you are a champion or not, but still
Right.
have that consistency of like pay-per-views in the right order and pay-per-views every couple of weeks. Wish they did something with that. If they would do that, then I probably consider the mode perfect because it's actually quite fun.
It is fun. I did enjoy it. What are your thoughts about universe mode? Me personally, um, this is where I found a lot of bugs, a lot of crashes, and a lot of glitches for me, because I use everything created shows, created arenas, created cause. I would completely delete the WWE schedule off my calendar and make my own calendar with my created shows. And it was a nightmare. This is where I would get I play on PC. So you get the graphics card glitch and the little prompt comes up and the game crashes. This happened to me more on universe mode than anything else. Thoughts?
Uh, I mean, I play on Xbox Series X, and I haven't
Yep.
done a whole lot of universe mode. Mainly because when I do play, I'm really stuck with grinding out the achievements for my faction. Um, but yeah, it's I haven't played it a whole lot, and yet universe mode still crashed twice on me. When I was doing
Even
one
on
of
Xbox.
yeah, even on Xbox, and yeah, that was just using like a custom arena with a custom show and just creating a whole bunch of matches, and then eventually it just crashed.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't really use a lot of custom superstars. Like I have a couple my own created wrestler, and the couple of guys that fit in with guys that are already in there. Like I got Solo Sikoa to put him with like the bloodline and let him have the Uso entrance, stuff like that. Diamond Mine because you have Roderick Strong, those kind of people. So it's quite minimum, and yet it still crashed.
Right.
Uh, when I did one of my universe builds, I think you can call them, I decided to go for like an insanely big loop of shows. And eventually, I just wasn't allowed to make any more pay-per-views. I had like 6 weekly shows, which probably was a bit too much.
Yeah.
And once I tried to create a fifth pay-per-view, the game just wouldn't let me. It was just like, nah, you don't need pay-per-views.
Yeah. I mean, this is the issues I had as well on PC. So, you know, a big miss for universe mode, because I personally like using universe mode with my created stuff, and that's, I think, is a big feature of that. And it's glitchy as hell for me.
I've honestly had more fun creating just very stupid tournaments in exhibition and make like
Yes.
one tournament where I had the two Kanes and six different Undertakers, and eventually the Ministry Undertaker did win that tournament, and I had
Yeah.
like because of the DLC, you have a whole bunch of the Samoans, so Yokozuna, Rikishi, the
Yeah.
Usos, Reigns, The Rock, threw them into one tournament together with Umaga, and I'm missing someone else.
Get a little Samoan tournament going.
Yeah, I had the entire Samoan line, and that was fun to go through.
So,
It was Umaga beating Reigns in the finals, which I thought
oh,
was
there
quite
you
funny.
go.
Yeah,
Shout out to Amaga.
new head of the
Yeah,
table.
new head of the table, yeah. Yeah, I just used tournament mode. Like, we're sort of talking about TKWA, my promotion I use. So, like, the house show that you just saw, we used the tournament mode, and even the announcers say like tournament mode stuff. So that it was fun to use that and hear that. I was like, oh wow, it gives it that extra real feel for
Yeah.
my promotion, right?
One thing I also noticed, like I do know you play all your matches, but the AI once you start a tournament is very cautious about not getting disqualified or getting counted out because they do realize there's something going on down the line.
Right.
Something doesn't really happen in any other mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that.
When I did a tournament, I just put it all on random matches, and yeah, for how I do my promotion, like I can't do computer versus computer AI
Yeah, I know.
stuff. I like to control everything. I'll put everything on the hardest setting. It is difficult playing a wrestling game when you can't see prompts. So like you're an extra level of good if you could still play that game without zero prompts, and that's how I play that game. So
Yeah, I've given it a go once to do it without the prompts. It's actually really difficult,
it
especially
is.
if you have people with like non-traditional signatures and finishers, and
Yeah.
you need to have them like do rope rebounds or put them on the top rope. You kind of just need to figure it out if you don't have everything memorized.
Right. So yeah, I guess moving on, we're talking all the various modes, and I was telling you before the podcast, I haven't really played my GM mode. I don't have an opinion on it. Um, Me personally, for GM mode, I know everyone was super psyched about it. Now I'm always happy to have new modes. I will give it a try. I don't know. GM mode is, me personally, not something I care about too much, but it is fun to have. What, I know you played it. What were your thoughts?
Well, if you scroll back in the channel enough, you'll find plenty of things about GM mode, even the old GM mode series. I love GM mode, but there's just a really bad aftertaste with my GM, which is very unfortunate. And that's mainly that you have to start out as something small, which does not make sense. So basically, when you start my GM, you need to book your matches in like a gym arena. That just doesn't make sense to me. Like, it doesn't make sense you can hire Reigns, and then on your first week, you can give a Legends contract to like Ric Flair, and you have Brock Lesnar on your roster, and you're gonna make Brock Lesnar versus Ric Flair like a super big match with very big names, and they're just gonna wrestle it out in a gym. That doesn't make any sense to me. That needs to go. You just need to be in charge of a WWE show and not try to create a WWE show. If that makes sense.
Right.
And yeah, it just gives this really weird taste that you need to play for like 4 or 5 weeks before you can have normal arenas. Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
So kind of a slow start to my GM mode in 2K22 is what you're saying.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't like that
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I haven't played it, so I really don't have an opinion on it. I am gonna give it a go eventually. So
Yeah, like when I played through it the first time, I didn't mind. I thought, all right, this is actually quite fun, working your way up. And then when you've completed your series, because you basically work from series to series, and um, I think the smallest one is like 15 weeks. You can book 15 weeks with like 3 pay-per-views, and that's it. And I did that just to get a feel of it. And then I tried to do one with like a year that you can play for a year, and I was back to doing these gym shows, and I thought I don't want to do this again. I've already done this. I've
right.
already beaten Shane in his NXT UK. I Yeah, it's yeah, just didn't like it. I played through it once, which was fine, and then the second time I tried to go through it, it was just no.
Not a
I don't
great
actually want to do
replay
this.
value to it.
Well, it should be actually, because
It should be.
every time you would start a my GM, you can draft a completely new roster, and you have
Yeah.
new legends to your legends pool because those rotate. So it's never the same thing.
Right.
Um, but yeah, once you've done it once,
Which games in the past you feel really nailed my GM mode? I'm gonna give you mine, and I'm an old school gamer. I'm an old fart. So I really like SmackDown Know Your Role GM mode. For some reason, I had so much fun with that. It was endless replay value to me. And I know, like, I guess SmackDown versus Raw, they had a couple that were really good. What do you think?
My favorite, and that's mainly because of the amount of details that was in it, would be the SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 version. A lot of people prefer 2007, mainly probably because you have the roster, but with 2008 you had a third brand, which was really interesting. And it was the only one where you didn't have the stupid graph of like there are 10 million WWE fans, and now 5 million of them are, uh, you know, 5.1 million are Raw fans and 4.9 million are SmackDown fans.
Yeah.
You can actually all grow and all be better off at the end and still have like the winner. Uh, that there was an added thing, the fact that you could actually tell your superstars to do stuff on non-show nights, like uh, now you go and have an interview, and that will boost your popularity, and you'll go and
Yeah.
do a charity event, and
That was fun.
yeah,
I did enjoy that. Yeah.
I really like that extra layer in 2008.
And I wish, yeah, that's what I mean. I wish that was more implemented in my GM. I don't know. I can't accurately judge it, but by what I hear and see, it's not like that. So,
Yeah, it unfortunately isn't.
all right. So I gave like an overall kind of score. Where do you think 2K20 lands out of a scale of 10?
2K20, well, 2K20
Oh,
very low.
2K20. No, no, no. Sorry, 2K22.
I'm probably gonna go with a 7.5 out of 10. It's definitely decent. I do really like what the visual concept has done, and I do trust that they're gonna use this as a foundation to uh, make the next games even better.
Yeah.
I do like the direction, that's for sure.
Yeah, like I said, it's a good foundation to build off of and move forward with.
Absolutely. Uh, Speaking of foundations, there's a whole new foundation being laid by a pretty old school development team with
Right.
Jukes. Now, of course, working on the AEW console game, which is officially named Fight Forever. What are your thoughts on the AEW game?
Big fan of AEW. Love what they do. Um, yeah, you know, as a fan, I will buy it. I will play it. I'll probably enjoy it. I see the direction they're going with it. It's a little more cartoony arcade style, which is fine. Big throwback to my some of my favorite games on Nintendo 64 for wrestling. World Tour, Revenge, No Mercy, WrestleMania. Um, Again, being a creator of eFeds, I'm just dying for a great creation suite, and I really kind of doubt that that's going to be on there or even on any kind of level that WWE does. But regardless of all that, I'm just excited to play it anyway. I'm not a huge console guy anymore, but I do have them and I will buy it. And I'm going to have fun going through the roster, seeing the entrances, seeing the music, hearing the music. I'm gonna play every mode. I'm gonna enjoy it. But the creator in me really wishes that it was more simulation and a really detailed creation suite. What do you think?
Well, I see a lot of people crapping on the graphics, and yeah, I kind of wish it looked more realistic, but it doesn't look bad. For the style it's going for, it looks pretty good.
Yeah,
Don't mind the arcade style in terms of gameplay. That's absolutely fine, as long as it's well balanced. That's
yeah.
completely fine. Um, One thing that I just really want to see is why should I buy this as a gamer? Like as a wrestling fan, it's obvious it's a wrestling game. But what's gonna what's gonna sell the AEW game? Because it's just gonna be random matches that you play in exhibition mode. What are we gonna get?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean it's still so like early in development. You only seen a couple clips of this and that, and they haven't really gave no details. Hopefully, what further it develops, we'll get those details and get excited more by it. But yeah, regardless, I would still buy it. But the modes will really sell me to like tell people, hey, buy this game. Like when I'm streaming it, hey, buy this game. Let's play it together.
Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. One thing with the AEW game, like a lot of people were very excited when Jukes was gonna be on board for the AEW game.
Yeah.
Personally, I think a lot of people are forgetting that Jukes has been the developer of WWE games for a very long time, and that
Yep.
2K is not the developer. That was Jukes up until Visual Concepts. That wasn't THQ making the games; it was just publishing it.
Yep.
And you know, basically, we've only just seen the switch from Jukes to Visual Concepts, and before that, I think every single WWE game has been made by Jukes. That means all the good games. That also means all the
Right.
bad games.
Yep. Yep.
And quite honestly, if I look at the bad games, those were pretty much the later games, like the 2009 SmackDown vs. Raw up until the 2K19 WWE game. That they just weren't really that innovative. Like, sure, in the grand scheme, there's a big difference between '09 and 2K19,
Yep.
but is it really worth a decade of innovations? I would
Well,
say no.
I know once you said that, there's one thing that stuck out in my brain right away, and I do believe it's 2K14. I really love that game. That was like heavily attitude error game. That I don't know, just gameplay wise was the last great uh for me, the last great 2K game was 2K14 with CM Punk on the cover. What do you think?
With CM Punk on the cover was 13, I believe.
Okay,
14
I
was
knew
with The Rock.
right. Okay, I was wrong. 13, but that was the one I loved. So
Yeah, yeah, that one was pretty good. I think that it also had the most innovations in like a year time. Like the universe mode really get expanded for 13,
yep,
and you went from the Road to WrestleManias, which were fun, to the Attitude Era mode, which obviously a lot of people loved, and it brought back a whole lot of sets of legends.
yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely one of the better ones in that 10-year lifespan.
I know I am excited that Jukes is making the AEW game. Like you said, it they've made a lot of great ones. They've made some ones that just kind of coasted until next year. I
Yeah,
feel like they're really taking their time with this game because it's already been like a year since they've kind of announced stuff. So they're really taking the time. So I feel like we're going to get something real special, and I hope so.
hopefully, yeah,
For AEW's first game, I hope we get something special and it blows up for them. I really do.
yeah. Like when it comes to Jukes, they're fine developers when it comes down to balancing stuff and making sure there's a properly working game. They do that
Yep.
well. Jukes, like some of the representatives at Jukes have been blaming 2K for the lack of innovations, but we see that Visual Concepts is free, so I don't really buy that. So what I just hope is that Jukes is going to be in charge of the actual development, but when it comes down to the creative side, that they're going to stick to the team that had at AEW already, with like Kenny Omega taking charge, Audrey Hepburn as a former developer, working on a bit of the creative side of the game. I think that's probably going to be for the best, and that they just leave Jukes for all the coding and making sure that everything is balanced and stuff like that.
Yeah. I
Or
mean,
yeah,
I'm excited for it. Like I told you what I thought though. I wish it was a little more uh creation suite friendly. I don't we don't actually know though. Like I don't know.
yeah.
have they actually said they're not going to do a creation suite in AEW or no?
I don't think they've mentioned anything in terms of creating
Right.
stuff.
So even if we got that with the current graphics, which aren't horrible, it's Kenny Omega who's on there helping with that game has clearly stated his love for WWF No Mercy on Nintendo 64, and I'm right behind
Absolutely.
him. I love that game. So if we can get that, but a new school next gen version of that, and even a creation suite to go with that, where hey, we can still maybe upload logos into custom arenas and rings and put stuff on superstars. I
Yeah.
will be all over that. That will make me fangirl out, and I will be so happy if I hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess with the AEW game, it's just a matter of waiting for more details to really go into it,
Yeah, we
as
don't know much. We don't know much right
we
now.
don't know much, and that's pretty much all I'm asking. I want to know about the game, and more than just knowing that it exists.
Well, that's why I feel like they're keeping stuff close to their sleeve. They're really taking their time. There's no even announcement of when it's coming out. So I feel like if they're really taking their time, we're going to get something cool, something special. That's what I'm hoping.
I'm open that as well.
Hmm.
Now, of course, the Fight Forever from AEW is not the only big wrestling game that's on the horizon. We're also having the Wrestling Code. Now, what are your thoughts about the Wrestling Code?
Lots of potential. From what I've seen, they're using the Unreal Engine, which I kind of fart around with myself. Um, it looks good, man. They got some cool talent signed. I mean, Eli Drake. I'm a big Enzo Mark. I love that guy. Um, it looks interesting. I know they're really focusing on a creation suite. Um, Man, I'm hyped. I hope it's like the alternative to every wrestling game ever made and it just nails it out of the park. That's what I hope. Hope we'll see. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Looking at the roster, definitely an interesting roster. And I do want to point out, because I did look this up, everyone that's confirmed for the roster now has already signed a deal to be in the game. Because there are some interesting names, like you mentioned, Eli Drake, of course, LA Knight on NXT, or Max Dupree on SmackDown now. You wouldn't assume him to be in a non-WWE game, but he is because he already signed a deal
Yep,
uh, earlier on. Same goes for Sefa Fatu, now of course known as Solo Sikoa on
yep,
NXT. Uh, Beside that, we have Eric Redbeard, formerly known as Eric Rowan. We have Kurt Angle. We have Rob Van Dam. We have EC3. We have Crime Time. We have so many awesome indie guys and like former big names going into the game. What they've shown so far in terms of graphics, it actually looks quite competitive. Like it's not top notch, but it's definitely B level quality graphics, which for an indie game is amazing.
yep.
And yeah, just really hoping we're gonna see more about the game soon. I've seen I think it was a clip of Kurt Angle doing the mocap for a couple of the moves, which was really cool to see. And you know, they're actually quite open about the way they are developing this, and it shows a lot of promise. Absolutely.
So when you were saying about former WWE guys, I got this thought in my head. What if WWE tries to sue these guys and stops the game because they got their characters in there? Like, I wonder how that. I'm not a lawyer nor a scientist, so I don't know any of that stuff, but maybe. What do you think? Do you think WWE will try to block the signed
Well,
talent that they have?
I'm not a lawyer either, but I do have a business degree, and once you sign a contract, that's binding, and these contracts were signed before these people signed with WWE, so I don't think they can touch them with anything.
Yeah,
Especially because WWE has the very smart thing of changing everyone's name, so we're not having Max Dupree in the wrestling code,
true.
we're having Eli Drake. So yeah,
which
it's
was for me one of the funnest versions of that guy was on Impact. Eli Drake, I thought he killed it on Impact.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Well, yeah, like you said, man, the graphics are in between AEW console game and 2K22, and I just hope it's competitive and I hope it's fun. And man, I'm really like I'm going like this, like please please give me an awesome creation suite where I can upload everything, all my
Yeah.
logos, and like make it competitive to 2K22, So that's my biggest hope for that game. And yeah, I am excited about the roster, um, especially Eli Drake and Enzo, some of my favorite superstars.
Yeah. Now there's also a little bit known about the post-release plan for the Wrestling Code. At release, there are going to be 40 to 60 superstars, depending on how many guys they can scan on time. Well, the official roster already counts up to 100 people that have signed for the game, so that already leaves room for updates and DLCs. They've also said that they would love to work with promotions to get like promotion DLCs.
Oh,
So
that would be so cool.
such thing as like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla or an MLW
Yeah,
DLC with like guys from them and like their arenas and a couple of their
that
belts.
would be
And
so cool.
it seems like this is going to be sort of a live service game. And what are your thoughts about that?
Uh, excited. I'm excited about it. Like, especially when you're saying like, hey, they might reach out to actual indie promotions and bring some of their superstars and arenas in. That's like, whoo, that gets me excited. I didn't know that. I don't know a whole lot about the wrestling code. I have it kind of like on my wish list, and I've watched a couple update videos, but um yeah, man. I just hope I just hope it's competitive. We have, online service and cool achievements and a great roster and it looks great and the DLCs, man, I'm excited for that as well.
The amount of effort they're putting in, it definitely seems like they're going for a very competitive
Yep.
style towards the mainstream game lines, which is now only WWE, but it is going to be expanded to Fight Forever, the AEW game, of course. Um, so yeah, what would be the type of promotions you would love to see? Like, what do you think would be a big deal if they could add that to the game?
Uh I don't know these promotions by name, but I know there's a couple in the East Coast of the United States that are quite popular with like the indie scene that I would like to see. I would like to actually see some real like trying to think I mean I guess like a GCW would be kind of cool, the that extreme fed. Um yeah, give a shout out to like Shimmer or something. Whatever they can legally do. Who doesn't own what? I know various promotions are buying indie promotions nowadays, so I don't know who owns what anymore. But yeah,
I think it just mainly comes down to making a deal with the promotion, and especially if you make it like DLC, that is very easily identifiable in terms of monetizing it. Like if you
yeah,
would have the entire game, it's like, well, which promotion should get which percentage of the cut. But if it's a DLC, then it's just, we've sold this
that's
DLC
straight to
X amount
them.
of
Yeah,
times, so
yep,
you get half of that, we get half of that, and that's that. Uh,
yeah,
Personally, I think Impact would be a great shout for
yeah.
like a company. Like we haven't seen Impact in a game since the TNA Impact game itself, of course,
True.
which
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, Impact. Yeah,
in my opinion was quite kind of an underrated game. Um,
yep,
Decent fun for what it was. Not a whole lot of replayability, but that's just what it is.
yep.
Um, yeah, having the
See,
Impact guys and
that's sorry to interrupt you.
of
That's where
course,
I hope AEW doesn't land, like kind of like that TNA game. The
yeah,
TNA game was fun just to have the roster and the ring and everything, but that was about it. I'm just hoping that the AEW game doesn't land like that, or Wrestling Code for that matter of fact. So
absolutely. So yeah, Impact would be great, I think, to add to the roster. We already have Alex Shelley, at Chris Sabin, and you have one of my favorite tag teams ever. So
absolutely.
yeah, that would be a cool thing. Um, Probably a bit of a long shot, but if they could have a new Japan DLC, I think that would be a massive push towards the game. But it's probably gonna be
So
a little bit
awesome.
more difficult to get New
Yeah,
Japan on
because you
board.
usually have New Japan associated with Fire Ring Pro Wrestling, usually. So I don't know.
Yeah,
That would be cool though.
absolutely. Um, so yeah, if not that, you can have BJW from Japan, of course. You can have the Australian promotions,
Yep.
MCA and FWA, I think they're called. Not entirely sure. Sorry if I got it wrong. Um, yeah, just have those things in. Um, Maybe some of the UK promotions.
Yep.
Uh, wouldn't mind seeing Dutch Pro Wrestling in that. It would be really cool. Probably not because probably the developers don't even know it exists. But hey, um, yeah, just get a bunch of promotions and I'll be really excited to just see a whole bunch of content and new wrestlers come in for years to come. I hope it really is going to be that kind of game.
I mean, between the three franchises that we just mentioned, it's kind of a fun time for wrestling games. It really is. So I am super excited. I know we're going to talk about a booking sim later down the line, and I'm excited for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast because I thought there's no better time in wrestling gaming history than right now. So let's
Yep.
discuss it. So yeah, we probably did mention everything there is about the wrestling code. So we're just gonna move on to the other side of wrestling games, which are the booking simulators. And I just want to start out with the big one, and then we're gonna move on to the one you probably want to talk about. But let's start off with Total Extreme Wrestling, the Adam Ryland booking simulator. Um,
Yep.
how much have you played of Adam Ryland's games?
He had another one before.
Extreme Warfare Revenge.
Yeah. Um and I've played Total Extreme Wrestling. It is exactly what it sounds like if you're not familiar. Like when I bought it, I thought, okay, wrestling game, cool. But you get to it and it's an actual legit booking simulator. And you know what? There's fun in that too. There's lots of fun keeping track of stats and where everyone's at and booking things for ratings and trying your best to get the best shows and the best superstars within a budget. It gets fun. Um, I would say I probably in total spent about 20 hours playing those booking sims, enough to tell you what I just said.
Yeah, I do definitely enjoy it, especially because of the modding community. The modding community does really save the TEW games. Um, having your real life mods and just have everything from WWE to AEW, New Japan, everything around
See,
the globe is on there.
that's oh man, that's one thing I didn't even embrace with that game was mods, because that probably would have been really cool.
Yeah, the modding community definitely saves the entire franchise
Yeah, I
for
completely
what it's
missed that
worth.
part of it.
It's definitely where to go, and Extreme Warfare Revenge still gets modding updates as well. So if you want to have the free option, just give that a go.
I might.
It's definitely fun. Um, One thing with the TEW games, or basically what I should say with Adam Ryland, the creator of those games. Let me grab my notes. Um, One thing that is very annoying with these type of games is Adam Ryland's belief of what a good match is.
Yeah.
Basic,
It's a little out there sometimes. Yeah.
basically, if you want to have a good match, you need to book people with similar stats against each other. So you want to book a high flyer against another high flyer. You want to book a brawler against another brawler, technical wrestler against another technical wrestler, yada yada. Um, which is really stupid. There are plenty of examples of people just having great matches uh, that didn't have the exact same style. Like I don't think anyone's gonna say that the uh, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels WrestleMania match was a bad match because Undertaker is a brawler and Michaels is more of a flashy wrestler. No one's gonna
Right.
say that that match sucked. But yeah, it wouldn't do particularly well in the TEW games if you would recreate that. So that's just really a big stain on the entire games that you have to book around Adam Ryland's idea of a good match,
Yeah.
and he doesn't really update that. And fair enough, it's his game. He spends a lot of time creating them, and there's not really a whole lot of competition out there, so
Well,
there's about to be absolutely.
there's about to be.
But yeah, the TEW games, in my opinion, are getting a little bit bland, which is unfortunate. It definitely needs competition, and we're probably going to see that in the form of Indy Pro 22 Return of the Territories.
I'm so excited about this game, man, because it's legit territories, legit workers across Canada and the United States and Mexico and stuff. So, and they might even branch out even further than that. These guys are really great. I've been following them. They're really great at showing you what they're doing, who they're signing. I think Mr. Ryland there's going to have a little competition and some serious competition, um, because I could see myself sinking some hours into that game. It's not going to be your traditional wrestling game. It is going to be a Booker sim, but it's gonna be. I feel it's gonna be awesome because I'm kind of a mark for some of the like really independent wrestlers that I've seen on there. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. These guys are future superstars in the top promotions that are gonna be in this game, and the fact that they're playing the territory angle with it, I just throw back to old school wrestling. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, I quite honestly didn't know of the existence of this game until you mentioned it when I was talking about this podcast just a couple of days ago. But I did do
Yeah.
my research and I actually joined the official Discord. Unfortunately, development is slowing down, which is unfortunate, but sometimes necessary. Um, yeah, as far as how the game is looking, it's looking like just a decent competitor to TEW.
Yep.
And the more the merrier on
With
that
legit
type of thing.
workers, though. That's the thing. That's what I like about it.
Yes, yes. One thing that I did read, and it obviously didn't mention TEW, but it said, I want to make sure this game is just fun to play, and I don't want to rely on the modding community to make sure my game is fun to play. And I thought, yeah, yeah, that's definitely aimed at Adam Ryland.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so yeah, good luck with that. There is one thing I'm worried about with this game,
Hmm.
and that is how many people are actually going to be excited for this. Because obviously there are a couple of things you're definitely not going to see in this game, which are WWE, AEW, probably not the New Japan either. You're not going to see the big promotions, and
Nope.
so you're not going to see the big wrestlers either. And that
Nope.
means that this game is targeted towards the hardcore base of wrestling fan, which is fine. But obviously, it also needs to be pointed towards gamers, which would be fine if it wasn't a booking simulator. Like with the wrestling code, you're having something a casual gamer could just pick up and play and, have a couple of
I
wrestling
get it.
matches.
It's a very
And with the
niche.
booking simulator type of thing, that's a niche within gaming. And then you limit yourself to the hardcore fan base of wrestling fans. Is there going to be a big enough market for this to succeed?
Probably not, but I'm still really excited about it.
Uh,
Honestly, I am. A guy like me, guys like us, can influence, and there are hardcore wrestling fans out there that are streamers, and it just takes one big streamer to get that word out there when this game releases, uh, to jump it up a little bit and get people interested in a booking sim with, real promotions. So that's kind of where I'm hoping that will go, and it will, blossom a little more than just the niche market of extremely hardcore wrestling fans such as ourselves. Um, yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sharing this concern not because I hope this game is gonna fail. I'm
Yep.
sharing this concern if in any case the developers are going to see this, probably not, but hopefully you are aware of the amount of limitations you're putting yourself on in terms of an audience. And hopefully they can work around that and just make this very accessible for people.
Yep. I know I'll be playing it on my stream, so
I'll definitely give it a go, and if they make it just a little bit more graphically appealing, then I guess
yeah.
it is going to be a lot more streamable. Because the TEW games in like this weird old school screen that you can't resize and are just a massive pain in the ass to work around. That
Yes.
they're not streamer friendly. Those games.
No. That's this where I'm hoping this one will be, and we're seeing the poses of every character in on the cards, and the card looks, appealing, because that's what's gonna have to sell.
Yeah, it does
It's
help that
just
this is
appealing.
licensed. It
Yeah,
does help that this is licensed because, like you said,
absolutely. Yeah,
having guys like pose in the menu screens and make it more graphical, you can't really do that with mods. It's going to be extremely impossible to just get a whole bunch of different poses from different guys and PNGs and cram that all into like menu screens. You're not going to
yeah.
do that, and that's what you need to do with DEW. But with this being its own game with its licensed wrestlers, um, yeah, that's definitely going to be a bit of an
The
upside.
potential is there to make this like TEE or TEW, but
Yeah,
to actually, make it a great game for gamers too that are interested. Um, just make it graphically appealing, because this is a booking sim. You're going to be looking at stats, you're going to be looking at cards, but why can't we make those look pretty, especially if it's licensed? You're good within that game. I guarantee you're seeing one or two, three, four, maybe superstars that are going to go to these top promotions. So we're looking at future talent in this game. So that's
that's
exciting
very
as
true.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if the longevity of this game is good, then it could potentially actually tear off those names, making it to the big scenes, and then people are
Yeah.
like,
And then
well,
people are going to play this game, they're going to check it out.
yeah, like especially with sites like SmackDown Hotel, which of course track which wrestlers are in which games as well. You would go to like in WWE 2K35, you have this weird dude called I don't know Maximum Power, and you press on his name, and it's like first game he appeared in. Oh,
Yeah,
it's it's uh it's this little booking simulator. Want to
yeah,
see what that's all about. And
exactly.
and then they go into that and they'll see, oh, it's actually quite fun. Even though this game is from the year 2022, which is what did I say? 2035? 13 years ago.
Yeah. Well, even some of the talent on there could potentially, even by next year, could be in these workup
True.
promotions like
True.
NXT. So by the time this game releases, some of these people could be on that road already. Um,
That's very
you know,
true.
that's just wishful hoping and thinking, because I want this game to succeed. I see the potential in it, and I have played the other booking sim. Uh, it's all right. It's pretty bland. These guys have the opportunity to change the game in terms of booking sims. So that's what I hope for.
Even if the exclusivity towards indie promotions and making it territory like doesn't really appeal to me, like I'll definitely give it a go. But
Yeah.
even then, I just want to see it succeed, so it lights a fire under TEW to innovate that more and make it more appealing as well. So
Yes.
competition is important.
Competition is a good thing, man. It makes everyone elevate, you know. So, what's that dude's name from Total Extreme Wrestling?
Adam Ryland.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're gonna have to make a better game, buddy, because Indy Pro 22 is coming for you, brother.
Is we have technically just 12 seconds before the official time for the stream is running out. We can stretch it out a couple of minutes. Is there anything you wanna go back to? You wanna add something to any of the games we've mentioned?
I mean, I know you wanted to mention mobile wrestling games. I guess I would give AEW Elite GM a try. It looks interesting. I've kind of been looking at that. I generally tend to stay away from mobile anything, um,
Have
but
Have
I
you
would
played
give
Elite
the
GM?
GM.
Have
What's
you
that?
have you given Elite GM a go?
Oh, is it released?
Oh yeah, ages ago. Ages
Oh
ago.
wow. Well, okay. Well, I'm gonna give that a try. Uh, like I said, I'm so out of it with mobile gaming.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I mean I've had fun, man. This is a great little podcast. I don't know. In terms of wrestling, I love AEW. I'm not gonna crap on WWE. WWE is always the standard. Me personally, it's a little yuppie-ish right now. They're trying to set a trend with these futuristic graphics, and they're like, "Hey, we're on the Fox network. We figured out 3D graphics all of a sudden, and we're forced to sit through that." But WWE is always smart, and they'll pivot and they'll compete and realize, um, maybe they might have to change something. So, um, I still love both. All promo. I'm a pro wrestling lover. I love all pro wrestling, that I can get my hands on. But that's all I really wanted to say.
Then I guess it's time we're gonna close this down. If you've been watching all the way up until this point of the podcast, and it obviously means you liked it, so make sure to press the corresponding like button. When you're down there, make sure to also subscribe and hit the bell icon. And once you've done all that, there's still so much more you can do. You can open that description and just look at all the bunch of links that are in there. There are links towards Chris, of course, with his TKWA promotion, which I've just debuted in hours before this podcast, so
Yep.
definitely want to check that out. And, all the socials are there as well. You can check him out on Facebook, on TikTok, on Twitch, so be sure to do that. Then, if you scroll a little bit further down, you can find all my socials, including Discord, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So make sure to check out all that. And when you scroll even further, you're gonna find all the official websites towards the games we discussed today, so you can read up about them. And once you've done all that, you can go back to the video and just leave a little comment on what you like and what you are excited for. And I think with that, it's time to call it quits.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.